Some time to read questions 1 to 6.
Hello, is that the Goodnight Camping and Caravan Park?
Yes, it is. How can I help?
Well, I need to know more about your facilities.
Okay, we have over 80 pitches, including 20 for caravans. The site has a large kitchen and dining area, toilet and shower facilities, also a laundrette and electricity points.
A simple grass pitch is fine, but can I bring a dog?
Yes, this is a dog-friendly site. You can bring up to 2 dogs per pitch, free of charge. What else would you like to know?
Are campfires and barbecues allowed?
Yes, they are, but only on the riverbank, away from the tents.
Well, do I need to book in advance or can we just turn up?
You don't need to make a reservation, but we do recommend it for bank holiday weekends, and also for large groups of 20 or more.
Well, there are only 4 of us, but I'd like to go ahead and book anyway. Do I book over the phone or online?
The easiest way is via the website.
Right. Do you accept credit cards?
Yes, we accept credit cards, debit cards and PayPal. If you prefer not to pay online, you can make a booking by forwarding a cheque for £20, enclosing details of the dates you want and the number of pitches you need. I'm afraid we cannot refund the deposit if you cancel.
And what was the tariff again, please? I mean per night.
Oh yes, sorry, I forget that. It's £8 per head per night, which includes access to all the facilities.
OK, well, that seems straightforward enough. Now, can you supply firewood?
Yes, we do. It's £3 per night, or you can bring your own.
Right. All I need now is your web page address.
Do you have a pen and paper to take down the webpage details?
Yes, I'm ready.
Our website is www.goodnightpark.uk.com, with Goodnight Park written as one word. Have you got that?
Yes, thanks.
Now you have some time to read questions 7 to 10.
Oh, I almost forgot. Can you tell me the dates when the park is open, please?
Right, we open for the summer season on the 1st of June and close on the last day of September.
And can we arrive at any time of day?
You need to call in at the reception office between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. and if you have booked online, you can turn up as late as 9:30 in the evening.
Well, that's useful to know. We'll be travelling by coach and then by bus. We hope to arrive by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but we could be delayed by traffic. Looking at the map, it's a journey of at least 100 miles.
Where did you say you were travelling from?
It's Chester. Do you know it?
Not very well, but I think you'll use the M5 motorway for most of the journey.
OK, there's just one last thing, really. Can I have the postcode and the GPS coordinates of the park, if possible, please?
Well, I don't have the GPS coordinates to hand, but they are on the website. The postcode is GL2 7JN. If you put it into a sat-nav, it will get you to within 200 metres of the park.
OK, I'll do that. It's a Gloucester postcode, isn't it?
Yes, that's right.
Fine. I have all the information I need. I'll book online later today. Thanks for your help. Hope to see you in a few weeks. Bye for now.
See you when you arrive. Bye.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
Part 2.
You will hear volunteer coordinator speaking to group of conservation volunteers about the program of work for weekend. First you have some time to read questions 11 to 17.
Hi everyone, it's great to see so many new volunteers here this weekend. We have a wide variety of outdoor work planned, all aimed at improving the countryside and protecting the natural habitat. Don't worry if you haven't done this type of work before, because we'll show you exactly what to do. Also, we've got Dave Pritchard with us today, who'll help us to repair the dry stone walls and paths. Now, I must point out that some of the work is quite difficult and may not be suitable for everyone, so we've decided to split the work into 3 levels of difficulty. Okay, grades 1, 2 and 3. Grade 1 is light work, grade 2 is moderate work, and grade 3 is heavy work. I hope that makes sense to everyone. You can always switch groups if you're not happy. Okay, we need some volunteers to help to clear away Himalayan balsam. It's one of several species here that are not native to this country. It looks like bamboo. This is grade 1 work, so it only needs a low level of fitness. Can I have a show of hands for this job, please? Almost anyone can do this work. Let's see, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's 5 people for clearing bamboo. Is there anyone else? No? Now, litter and rubbish are a major problem in this area. Tidying it up will take a moderate amount of effort. The main task is litter picking, and if there is enough time, clearing vegetation from the paths. Do I have 2 volunteers, please? Right, it's that lady there and the man with the hat. Thank you. Remember, this is grade 2 work. That requires an average level of fitness. Are you okay with that? Right, the rest of the group can help with fencing, walling, and access paths. Now, fencing is grade 2 work, but building walls is heavy, grade 3 work. You will need to be very fit to do grade 3 work, and you'll also need to be wearing protective footwear, which means steel-toe boots, not just any old shoes. If you don't have the right boots, then you'll have to help with the fencing and paths. We have 10 people left, so how many are happy to do the stone walling? Right, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I count 6. Please be careful and work at a steady pace. You'll need to save some energy for the tree planting tomorrow. Are there any questions? No? Then let's split into our groups and make the most of the fine weather. We'll stop at 11 o'clock for a cup of tea and a biscuit.
Now you have some time to read questions 18 to 20.
Hi, I'm Dave and I'll be helping you repair this stretch of dry stone wall today. There are 6 volunteers, so if we can split into 3 groups of 2 people, that will be helpful. That gives us 2 people working at each end of the wall and 2 people working in the middle. Now, we don't want to see one end of the wall going up quicker than the other. It's important to keep the wall level as it goes up, otherwise we'll end up with a problem in the middle. The largest rocks form the base of the wall, which is helpful because we don't have to lift them too far, but we'll also keep a few of the bigger ones for higher up. Okay, if you look at this damaged section of wall, you can see that it's really 2 walls with a gap in between. The gap in the centre is filled with the smallest stones. These have a rounded shape and are known as hearting or packing stones. Don't just throw them into the wall. Place these packing stones carefully into the gap because they help to keep the other stones in place. The larger, long stones, like this one here, should be placed across the full width of the wall, from one face to the other. For appearance sake, try to keep the stones with the best looking faces for the outside of the wall. Right, let's clear away some of these fallen stones so we don't trip over them, and then get started.
The end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
Part 3.
Essay writing skills. You will hear 2 university students discussing their essays. Before you listen, you have 30 seconds to read questions 21 to 26.
How's it going, Sue?
Pretty well, except that I'm almost asleep on my feet. I was up until 2 a.m. finishing my essay.
Me too. However, I've still only written 1,800 words, and we're meant to hand in 2,500. I've no idea where I'm going to get another 700 from.
Oh dear, I've got the opposite problem. My essay's nearly 4,000 words long, so I'll need to be quite brutal with editing.
However did you manage that?
I'm really interested in the topic, so I did lots of independent research. I've got a pretty thorough knowledge of the HDI now.
The HDI?
The Human Development Index. You know, the list of indicators for health, income, sustainability.
Yeah.
What statistics did you draw on for your discussion of poverty?
Don't ask. The graphs and charts I found I didn't know how to describe. So in the end, I cut and pasted a table and a paragraph from my friend Abdul's essay. He took this course last year. I don't really understand any of the stuff I copied from him either, but he passed, which is all that counts.
I see.
Before we meet our tutor, Sue, I wonder if you could do me a favor. When I had my consultation with him last week, he crossed out so much of my first draft that I had to start all over again.
OK, show me your first page. Well, you might add a sentence to your introduction. It's not clear to me which argument you support, or is that in the conclusion?
But if I add one sentence to the introduction, that's only another 20 words.
True. Skimming through this, it seems you've used 2 sources for research, whereas our lecturer insisted that we have at least 5. This quote on the second page is really long. It is relevant, but I hope you realise quotes aren't counted in the word limit.
So now, I don't even have 1,800 words. How about I take away the quotation marks so it'll look like my own writing?
I don't think that'll work. In fact, it's plagiarism, stealing from another writer. Our essays are put through a computer program to check what's copied from elsewhere.
I don't get why people care about plagiarism. In my country, that's how we learn.
At secondary school here, some students do copy, but at university, we should develop our own ideas.
What if I don't have any ideas?
Then it's time to get some.
Before you listen to the rest of the conversation, you have 30 seconds to read questions 27 to 30.
What shall I do about this long quote, Sue?
You can paraphrase or summarize it. You'll need a reference as well.
A reference?
An in-text citation, like the Harvard system. You need to acknowledge where the information came from.
Whoa!
We were given a worksheet on the Harvard system in the first tutorial. Have a look at my essay now to see what you need to do.
Are these names and dates in brackets a reference?
Yes, they refer to the bibliography on my last page. That reminds me, you don't seem to have attached your bibliography. Do you have it floating around in your bag?
Yes, here it is. Have a look.
Is this your bibliography or Abdul's?
What do you mean?
Well, I'd say it was Abdul's, because there are 7 sources, and none of them is either on our reading list or referred to in your essay. Our tutor wasn't born yesterday.
I can sort the bibliography out later. That's the least of my worries. We still haven't solved how I'm going to write another 700 words in fewer than 24 hours.
You'll need to do some more research today. I found Newcomb really helpful and also Sword. Why don't you read them?
I would if I had time, but I'm working tonight. In fact, I start at 2 o'clock and go through till 9:30.
Read the articles at work then. They're not very long. I found both of them offered convincing arguments for redefining poverty, and their alternative indicators for failed states are also interesting.
But I'm running out of time, and I can't walk around the menswear department reading scraps of paper. Look, let me make a suggestion. Why don't you write the extra paragraphs, Sue? I bet you'd be able to do them in about a half an hour. You could email them to me tonight. I'll check my email the minute I get home. In return, I'll give you a gift voucher from my department store.
Nice try. Firstly, I've got to work tonight as well. Remember I told you about editing my essay? Secondly, the tutor will spot my writing style. And lastly, believe it or not, I'm that rare breed of female who doesn't like shopping.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
Part 4. You will hear a lecture on road congestion as an example of market failure. Read questions 31 to 40.
Sorry I'm late. The traffic was unbelievable. However, my lateness is pertinent to today's topic. Road congestion as an example of market failure. Next week's examples will be carbon emissions and commercial fishing. But what is market failure? Broadly speaking, it's when the free market fails to develop or apportion resources efficiently. A market may fail completely or partially. In the case of complete failure, resources cannot be allocated to satisfy need or want because there are insufficient incentives for profit-seeking firms to enter the market. Take street lighting. Without state intervention, there probably wouldn't be any, as it's unlikely private individuals would pay for it themselves. With no revenue generated and no profit earned, no firm would enter the street lighting market either. That's why taxes are set aside for public goods. There are many ways in which partial market failure occurs, but I'd like to focus on oversupply, which is when markets produce too many goods or services. It commonly occurs with demerit goods, like alcohol or tobacco, and with negative externalities. What are negative externalities? Well, the inability of consumers or producers to account for the effects of their actions on third parties. Road congestion is a classic case. Oh, let me tell you something I read last night. The speed of traffic in central London has remained fairly constant over the past 100 years. Really? How can that be? Wasn't most traffic horse-drawn in 1916? Indeed, it was. But the fact remains, in central London, giant four-wheel drives and sleek sport cars travel about as fast as wagons pulled by horses. Back to business. There are four main ways of dealing with congestion. 1. A city increases the amount of road space. 2. It improves public transport. 3. It reduces the demand for travel. Or 4. It increases the cost of private travel. In the case of London, the first measure is counterproductive. There are enormous costs associated with construction and a long delay between planning and availability. Once built, more roads only encourage more driving, and very soon congestion rears its ugly head again. On the surface, improving public transport seems a great idea, but even when it's reliable, cheap and convenient, it's viewed as an inferior good. As incomes rise, most of us leave inferior goods behind. We used to drink beer. Now we drink boutique beer. We used to holiday locally at the seaside. Now we fly to Thailand. What about reducing the demand for travel? Unfortunately, no one seems to know how to do this. The fourth option, raising the cost of private travel, has also had limited success. In London, we've experienced higher vehicle and fuel taxes, more expensive parking, and licence fees, no parking routes, and a raised driving age. But we've kept on driving. Other big cities have taken a different approach. Some Chinese cities limit drivers to 4 days a week, based on the final number of their licence plate. But the rich just buy 2 cars. Sydney and Singapore have tolls on bridges and tunnels, yet people pay up or drive longer routes to avoid tolls, creating traffic jams elsewhere. In 2003, London opted for a congestion charge in the central city. Back then, the charge was £5 a day. It's now £11.50. From its inception, there was a discernible decrease in traffic. Estimates in 2004 by Transport for London, or TfL, were that traffic flow was reduced by almost 20%, or 50,000 cars per day. Journeys were 15% faster. The number of bus journeys rose by 15%, and cycle usage by 30%. TfL stated that road traffic reduced a further 10% between 2011 and 14. However, a recent report has concluded that by 2031, congestion will have worsened by a staggering 60%, even if strict measures are adopted immediately. It seems as though the cycle is similar to building more roads. A sharp initial improvement, a slower improvement over time, followed by stasis and decline. So, to conclude, part of the reason for road congestion is an unquantifiable negative externality, exemplary of partial market failure. The free market is incapable of allocating resources efficiently. No matter what authorities do, people continue to drive. On some level, we all know congestion leads to more noise, pollution, accidents, and slower travel times. But cars are cheap, and their outlay is fixed. Principally, we drive because we don't consider our actions in relation to anyone else's. And even if we did, I'm not sure most people would care.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.